Hey boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Rami over here, and I thought I'll just make a video on the topic that's pretty important. Last week here in Sydney, there was something that was labelled to be a terror attack. It happened in the city of Melbourne, where one man, I believe he was of African Muslim descent, came into the city, loaded his car full of gas canisters, set that on fire, and then went on the stabbing rampage. Unfortunately, during this rampage, he killed one elderly gentleman, a 74-year-old man, who was a cafe bar owner that was a very well-loved figure in the city of Melbourne. And this real tragedy is this gentleman came to assist seeing a car on fire to help save lives. And unfortunately, his life was taken so tragically by the hands of a deranged madman. In saying that, 3 other people, I believe, were injured in the stabbing attack. One of those people that was stabbed in the neck was a security guard that worked in the city of Melbourne. He was recently interviewed. His name is Shady, and he is a Muslim. And there is something important to highlight about this fact. I don't believe that I need to show my loyalty to this country in any particular or special way as a Muslim. Now, what I mean by that is I don't feel like I need to bend over backwards to prove to everybody out there that I'm a decent human being. You can see that in my actions every single day. And you will come to realize that that is the case with the majority of Muslims in this country, that they're just decent people that are living their lives like you or I. And that's something that's really important, because when it comes to a tragedy like this, the first thing we should be doing as a country is standing side by side and condemning such actions. And of course I condemn such a disgusting act on our country. This is just completely unacceptable. There is an agenda at hand here. There is an agenda to divide us. Unfortunately, I believe the media and the government plays a very, very important role in how they set the stage for a country up. I need a wake-up call. And for me, the wake-up call happened last week after this tragedy, when I looked at a newspaper article that came out. So the newspaper article reads, "Violent Islam strikes Bourke Street." This was published on Front Page Media directly after this attack, this incident. Violent Islam strikes Bourke Street. So it's not even violent extremism or violent radical Islam or what, the usual words they'll use. They've now come down to generalizations. Violent Islam strikes Bourke Street. Now, first of all, what do you mean by violent Islam? This was a single individual that committed this act. This was one person from 550,000 Muslims in this country. This was one guy. But violent Islam. And I want you to think about how this affects you, whether you realize it or not. When you see the words violent Islam, the word Islam is a direct link to Muslims. You can't have Islam without Muslims, and you can't have Muslims without Islam. They're completely linked. So when you see the words violent Islam, you're going to see violent Muslims. So this article might as well say violent Muslim or violent Muslims attack or strike Bourke Street. It's making a sweeping generalization. It's just putting out there a word which means a lot to 1.8 billion people on this planet, and just using that alone as the scapegoat for why something like this happens. But guys, it goes way deeper than this. Not only the media. Our own Prime Minister comes out after this tragedy, and he basically says that Muslims need to do more, that Muslims aren't doing enough, that Muslims need to pull their head out of the sand. And what he's done basically is he's cornered Muslims in this country. He's giving them a strong shake, and he's like, you need to do something about this. You need to do something about what's going on here. Now, that's not bringing people together at all. That's actually alienating a community that's part of this broad spectrum population in Australia. It's isolating a single community and it's almost putting partial blame upon them for what this one individual man did. Is that fair? Is that rational in your point of view? Should other Muslims be kind of, put into this corner where they, A, need to apologize for something they haven't done, and B, they have to take partial blame for something that's happened when they had nothing to do with that? Is that a fair thing to do? It absolutely isn't. This young man that committed this attack in Burke Street, his family, his friends, and mosque leader have all come out to consistently say that he was mentally ill. They said that this guy had visions of being chased. He thought he was being followed by people that had spears. He was having a very bad relationship with his parents, very erratic with his wife. They're saying that he was completely unstable mentally. He had mental health issues and he refused help. That's what they're saying, and they're saying that consistently. Now, in every other case that we've had in Australia or around the world, mental health is actually always the first thing that's spoken about when it comes to situations like this. Let's talk about a few examples, guys. We had James Gargasoulas, who only about a year and a half ago, in the same location in Melbourne, drove his vehicle into a crowd, into pedestrians. He killed 6 people, he injured 30 people. This guy was somebody that told people to read the Bible. This guy was somebody that thought he was the Messiah. So there was still some religious inkling to his thoughts. Till this day, he's only just been cleared to stand trial for what he's done. He was deemed mentally unfit to stand trial, and his mental health was at the forefront of the excuses to support the notion that what he did, which was of a much bigger scale, was not a terrorist attack. Okay. Then we had another incident that happened a couple years ago here in Sydney, in Maryland's police station. A guy by the name of Peter drove his car, filled it up with gas canisters, just like this terrorist, supposed terrorist in Melbourne, just like this guy in Melbourne. He filled his car with gas canisters, and he drove his car into a police station with intent to explode it. The only issue was this guy couldn't continue his attack on the police because he got burnt in the car. Now, he survived the attack. Thankfully, no police were injured or killed. And we've gone straight to mental health. This guy had a fight with his mum. He wasn't all there mentally. So again, we're accepting these excuses of mental health, and it is at the forefront of why this person may have done something. Then we've got the California shooter lately. The shooter up in California who supposedly had PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. They've put that up. We had the shooter in Florida as well. That shot up the gaming convention. Mental health, he was mentally unstable. Okay. We had the case in Germany, in Munster, where my cousin lives, where a guy drove into pedestrians at a bar/cafe. He injured over 20 people. He killed 5 people. Again, a national German citizen, not Muslim, not African. Mental health, he died, and they gave him the excuse of mental health. So here we have all of these stories, guys, of atrocities that were committed in cities all around the world, even in this country, in the past, where mental health has been a reasonable, excuse for why these people may have done something. But when it comes to this guy, that, his family and friends claimed he had mental health issues, when it comes to his family coming out and saying, look, he was seeing visions, he was going crazy, he was acting erratic, he wasn't all there mentally. What does our Prime Minister say? What do the police say? No, that's just an excuse. That's what they're saying. That's just an excuse. This was religious extreme, this was Islam. But the label of mental health is not at the forefront for them. In fact, it's not even in the background. Mental health for these Muslim attackers is completely thrown in the trash. And the forefront, indicator for why this has happened is Islam. And then the media goes on a frenzy, making disgusting articles like that. Then the politicians come out, starting these conversations about immigration, about Muslims. They start putting the blame on a particular part of the society, and they cause further division, hatred, and suspicion amongst us in this country. It's just a tragedy. All of this is a tragedy from beginning to end. And I feel like that we need to find some consistency, because when it comes to people that commit acts like this to a much larger scale, we do not see the word terror linked to it. We do not see lazy journalism like that. We do not see the words violent Buddhists strike Myanmar, or we don't see the words violent Zionists attack Palestine, or we don't see the words violent Christian attack synagogue. And of course, I'm not saying that there are no Muslim terrorists. Yes, I believe that there are people that are sane and are terrorists and happen to be Muslim. That is still a thing. I'm not saying it's not. But we have extremism in all elements of our society, in all groups of our society. People that just have extremist thinking. People that think too much to one side. But again, I'm not going to accept, responsibility. I'm not going to accept being pushed in the corner by my Prime Minister and being told I need to do more. The fact is, we all need to do more, including your higher ups in the government, including your media. Everybody is responsible in this country for how we perceive and treat one another. When at the end of the day, and it's not specific to the Australian government only, it's pretty much every government around the world, the government doesn't give two flying fucks about you guys. The government doesn't give a shit about you. In fact, the government sees how it could screw you from any direction. That's just a fact, all around the world. Why do you think the government cares about you? At the end of the day, it's not you and the government that are standing together, that are making this country run. It is you and I who are standing next together, who work with each other, who live next door to each other, who are out there being active members of our society together. It is you and I who need to build that connection, not you and the government, because the government is just an entity. It's not a person, it's not a human, it's not divine. There's nothing about it, guys. That's a fact. So we need to treat each other better. Don't think you holding on to the foot of your government is going to save you, because they're just going to kick you back down, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys understood where I was coming from. Peace and love to everybody. Peace and love to Melbourne. I hope you heal as a city, and God forbid anything like this happens again in this city. Is that reasonable? Come on, guys. All right. Peace and love.